Well, the moment I've been waiting for to understand in a little bit more detail what's going on with the Tundra engine. And a lot of you guys were right. This looks like it could have been partially an engineering issue. They're admitting to it a little bit. We're going to read some of this very carefully. I want to get your opinion on how you infer some of the language in this recall report. This is the updated recall for the Toyota 3.5, the V35A engines. So this is going to cover 126,691 vehicles, 2024 Lexus GX, the 2022 to 2024 Lexus LX, the 2022 through 2024 Toyota Tundra. Now, for all the crazy Toyota fanboys out there, I want to get something very clear. They say estimated percentage defect is 1%. A little bit further down, they say Toyota is unable to estimate the percentage of involved vehicles to actually contain the defect described in Section 5. However, as NHTSA manufacturer portal requires an integer value to be entered, Toyota has entered 1, as in 1%, in the response to this question. So it's not just 1%, maybe it's less. Some key elements to this recall. This is actually very telling. So they talk about the production dates from May 31st, 2023 to April 10th, 2024. That's all that's included here. And even worse than that is they only include from November of 2021 through February of 2024 for the Tundras, which I'm almost positive, well, I know we've seen 2025s die with the same thing. So already we're off to a bad start because some of the 2025s were probably produced after April. That's my opinion. And you can go look at other videos on my channel, but I think there's going to be more. After this, who knows if they'll actually recall those. It says, although the involved vehicles are within the above production period range, not all vehicles in this range were sold in the US. So this tells me that maybe the ones that were built in Japan are also having the problem. That's the only way I could interpret that line. Now, this is getting to the juicy part. So in the first part of Section 2, they actually talk about the previous recall, 24V381. And then they go on to say, some of the same engines produced after this period were produced with improved manufacturing processes that was reducing the debris and remain under investigation still. Others were produced with an improved main bearing. So now they're coming out and verifying that what the car care nut said was true, that the main bearing was improved or updated, which tells us that they are admitting to maybe having an engineering problem, and maybe they don't fully understand what that engineering problem is because they're reducing the number of problems, but they're not gone yet. And then it goes on to say other Toyota and Lexus vehicles are not equipped with the V35A engine in this configuration. They're just saying some of those V35s didn't have the improved debris reduction, and some of them didn't have the new main bearing, which I believe was May of 2024, which sort of aligns with April 10th, 2024 timeframe for production dates. That's probably when they threw that new main bearing part in there. And yes, they are still saying it's a debris problem. In the description of the defect, they say that the V35A engine that contains crankshaft main bearings, which allows the crankshaft to rotate with the engine assembly while running, during a specific production period, there is a possibility that engine machining debris of a particular size an amount may not have been cleared from the engine during manufacturing and subsequently contaminated the engine assembly during the production process. For these engines in the subject vehicles, the pressure on the main bearings due to the engine configuration is such that if the aforementioned machining debris adheres to the bearings and the operation of the engine continues at higher loads over time, failure of the bearings may occur. They're saying it basically the debris gets embedded in the bearings and then just shreds them. And they don't really say that there's a remedy yet, but one can only imagine that if they're admitting that it's an engine debris problem and your main bearings are going to get shredded, I can't imagine them having any other path forward other than replacing them with crate engines, which is better than a short block for a lot of these people. But now, again, we're leaving out all of the rest of the hybrid owners still, and we're also leaving out any of the 2025 owners that are having main bearing issues already, and late 2024. Mid to late 2024 builds are failing, and those are not included here, so it looks like they're not going to necessarily get this new crate engine if that ends up being the fix. And I keep going back to this section 2, where they say that they produced it with an improved main bearing. That to me is so telling that they're admitting that they do have more than just a debris problem. Because if they truly thought this was 100% a debris problem, there's no way they would have put an improved main bearing. That just seems like one of those 0W40 issues to me. Like, well, maybe if we do this, that'll help things along a little bit. Maybe it'll last a little longer. Maybe get people out of warranty. It's a bummer for Tundra owners. This is definitely not ideal to me. I don't know what I was hoping for, but this is just more information. I'm sure you Tundra owners will appreciate it. But it tells me that they're not out of the woods yet. We'll see if these improved main bearings and the debris issues kind of just settle down. And if they could have 1 year, 2026, like let's just see if 2026 models, if we don't see any of those die, if they could have that, then maybe we could go on to say, okay, they've finally gotten it right. But until then, I just wouldn't trust it. Anyway, let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. I know a lot of you thought this was an engineering issue, and it seems like maybe both. Maybe we've got the debris problem initially and an engineering problem stacked on top of each other. Let me know what you guys think. As always, thanks for watching. Till next time.